Hello and welcome back to Not Your Average Housewife. I'm your host Mel, and today I have an absolutely incredible lady with me. She's going to be sharing her journey of how music has played such a huge part of her own healing journey. So welcome, Danielle, and thank you so much for joining me today. I know you travel quite far to be here, so I'm so grateful that you've come on. And really, really excited to talk to you and hear all about your incredible journey. I don't think I need to do much more of an intro than that. I just really hope that I can do your story and your journey justice.
Thank you. And I'm glad to finally meet you as well.
Yes, I know. So it was so random how we met. So I saw somebody, it was through music, through the magic of music. Yeah. So somebody posted, I think you had played a track of somebody's in a set that you were doing, and they'd reposted it. And one of the main reasons I wanted to start this podcast was to sort of showcase the minority, I guess, within this industry. So women, sober, obviously we are still considered a minority in a male-dominated industry, an industry where alcohol and drugs is very much still up there unnecessarily. So I'm always trying to connect with and add new female DJs. That I haven't met. So I just randomly added you and something just made me send you a message. And I didn't even know from looking at your page that you were sober. I didn't really know anything about your story until I went on and had a proper little stalk.
And we had a little conversation, a big conversation.
Yeah, we did the first night that I added you. And it was like talking to somebody that I'd known for the longest time. Yeah.
So sometimes it's just one of those things.
Yeah, you
meet like mind souls, I think, in life, and that's why I think that's why I'm just so excited to come here today. Not even just for the podcast, just to meet you and just to I don't know. Like you've got so much in common as far as the sober and the music, DJing, being new to DJing as well. Being a woman,
exactly,
having a story. So
in the man's world,
exactly.
So when did you start your DJing career, your DJing passion? So I'm assuming I'm going to say, am I correct in saying that music's been a huge part of your life? Anyway,
always. I think it started as a child. with my family, and they were massively into like soul music, dance music, all different kinds of music. Even my grandmother. Every room in her house had either a speaker or some kind of form of music. My mum the same, cooking, in the car, you've got to keep fit, we'd always have music on. So music was always a massive part of my life anyway. And like my family will say to me, God, how have you got the memory you have? Like a song will come on and it can literally take me back to maybe being 2 years of age, and I remember the place, the smell. So music does do that to me. So it has like a massive impact in my life. And then obviously having Chloe, music was a part of my life. It then became a part of her life. Yeah. So she was massively a lover of music. It touched her. She listened not just to one kind of music, but all different genres of music. We'd be in the car, she'd turn it up. If I was having a bad day, she'd turn it up, So then she became this ball of happiness when music was on, or if she wasn't, she put the music on and then she would just become this, I don't know, alive child that just come, I don't know, she was just magic with it. And obviously through being her mum, we together lived it. And when she passed away, for the first, I would say 3 to 4 months, I found it extremely hard to listen to. I'm so glad I'm sober because I've obviously on the journey of being sober, you learn to come out of the mind sometimes, come and look at the thinker. Because as soon as I look back and I think of the things I've gone through, I instantly feel pain. So I'm just putting that in there. I'm so glad I can come out of my mind and just take a deep breath and look at my emotions and be in the now. Yeah. Because otherwise I won't be able to talk to you. It's so painful to actually go back to that time. So if I stop and I breathe, it's because I've just got to get myself together.
Yeah, no, of course.
So yeah, for the first 3 to 4 months, I lost Chloe. I found it hard to be the one in charge of going out, because I used to do walking and cold water therapy a lot with people that I knew or people I didn't know. And a lot of my friends said I was the, what do they call it? The concrete.
Yeah.
To that, or the glue to that. And obviously when Chloe passed away, I don't think anybody wanted to push me to get out, but actually I needed people to push me to get out.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have that so much, I found it extremely difficult to find peace in anything. Again, music was something I always went to. So when I was to put music on to take me to that place that I would feel joy and, you know, happy, it actually made me feel, and I'll be honest with you, suicidal. I remember my friend saying, right, well, let's just go out and just, you know, go somewhere to dance. I didn't drink by this point at all. Let's try it. I went out with my friend Rhiannon and we went to this little bar. It had incense sticks. She was like, oh, you'll love it. You know, it was quite oldie whirly.
Yeah.
But even in there, I was just like, I don't want to be around people who drink. So in that moment, I felt like I could feel everyone's energy around me. At that point, I don't feel I was able to like contain my own safety.
Yeah.
Because I know like when you awaken, it's really important that we find a way to protect our aura and protect our space. By that point I hadn't, and you know, obviously I just lost Chloe, so I was really vulnerable. So then we went to another place where there was music, and I would just remember looking to the wall. It was like a brick wall, and I just remember thinking, I am never going to get through my life without her, especially with music playing. And in that moment, I just, 1,000 things went through my mind. I didn't want to be here. I would never have ever, and I would never ever do anything in my life that would like, you know, take my life. But you almost wish that something could happen so that you would come out of this pain.
Yeah.
And that's a horrible feeling. Like I've never felt that in my entire life. You know, I've gone through considerable things in my life, and I've gone through big changes in my life, but never to the point that I felt such pain that I didn't want to be here. And I just remember thinking the one thing that used to take me to a place of happiness and joy is now making me feel the opposite.
Yeah.
And I just remember saying, I just want to go home. I'm ready to go. And I remember leaving, and I remember doing a video, and I said on there, like from the outside, I seem happy, but on the inside, it was the most breaking, most vulnerable feeling I've ever felt. And I think for about 2 or 3 months, I just thought to myself, right, I've got to just be at peace with myself. I've got to find peace. I've got to flow. I've got to listen to my body. I've got to feel whatever pain is to come up, and I've got to learn what that means to me. And as I'm doing this, I've gone to the Live Love Healing Hub in Cardiff. And in there, I've done brain tap therapy. And whilst I'm in this place, I see a packet of cacao. And it's powder form. So I buy that. And there's another few things I buy, a few crystals. I go back home and being me. I don't like to put labels on anything, but I have got an attention to, I feel, higher dimensions, not ADHD, but definitely a higher attention to higher dimension in life. That's how I see it. And because of that, I think this is why I'm able to, this is why I'm here. You know, I use it as a positive. I don't put labels on anything. And when you're like that, you look into everything that you do. So I started looking at cacao, what it is, where it's from, what forms you can buy it in, the benefits. I literally just become obsessed with this thing. And I'm drinking it and there's nothing. There's no placebo. There's nothing. Because I'm really aware of how we can feel placebo and things. But I didn't have that with the cacao. It wasn't anything. So I thought, right, okay, maybe it's because it's powder. When I started to read about it, I thought, okay, well, the powder's not going to give you maybe the feelings and maybe the compounds and the benefits that like a proper ceremonial grade cacao would.
What's the difference? How do they make it powder form, and what does that take away from when it's solid?
So all chocolate comes from the Crayola bean. And the way that it works is that when it comes from a bean, it usually goes through like a heated process for it to be broken down into the powders. Now, when that happens, the compounds that they hold are lost. So the magnesium, the zinc, the potassium, the iron, the anandamide, which is a molecule which you feel bliss from, is all ruined. Okay. And that's what happens when it goes through a heated process. So when you have raw cacao, which I now sell, it comes in a form of blocks. Now that goes through a pasting stage, which is put through a pasting. It's like a gentle heat, but it pastes it through a machine and it comes out in big blocks. And so you have all the compounds and the benefits that you should be having in chocolate. Like if you have other brands, obviously you're not going to get that. Yeah. Because it's been ruined with the sugars and artificial colours and whatever. Yeah. So anyway, I went and found Ceremonial Grade, and I only bought from one company. And they're the people that I actually now buy from at wholesale, and I now package with Chloe's name on it. And the reason I do that is because for me, cacao brought me to where I am now. And honestly, I can't explain it. For you to understand that you would have to be ready on your journey to try it, to know what I mean. But cacao allowed me to open up my heart. It allowed me to move through grief, move through pain in a more gentle way. And it allowed me to create from my heart as well. So not worry about, I didn't put myself down. I just thought, you know what? If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter how negative I thought about it. I was going to do it. So obviously I'm looking at cacao, I'm drinking cacao, I'm feeling joy that I'm not feeling from the powder. I'm feeling like alive. I'm walking through the forest and I'm loving trees, I'm hugging them, and I'm like, how am I feeling like this? But it was almost like it was just I can't really describe the feeling, enhancing what I already felt, but just in a bigger way. So through the cacao, my friend Gemma said to me, right, I can't go to a women's circle. I can't turn up for that day. So the woman's given me an alternative ticket, and I said, oh right, okay, what's that? And she said, I don't know. She said it's in a place called Coed Hill. It's a static dance. Have you ever heard of that before? And I was like, no, I don't know what that is. And she said, well, do you want to come? She said, I got a ticket. She said, why didn't you come? See how much it is and you can join on. She said, I think it's like a sober thing. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said, there's music. And I was like, oh. Again, like it was that, what am I going to feel like? Obviously come away from drink. So how am I going to feel? So I said, I'll have a look and I'll get back to you. Had a look at the ticket information and it said cacao ceremony. It wasn't the music at the time that pushed me to go. It was the cacao. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, how is cacao in my life? I've never seen it before. And now it's in my reality everywhere I go. Everywhere I look, it's there. So that almost took me to that event. So me, myself and Gemma, I don't know if Rihanna went that day. I think it was just me and Gem. But we went to the event and it started off with this cacao ceremony. Everybody in there was sober. And this woman is starting to play music. Yeah. And she'd taken me through like tribal kind of sounds and then into like drum and bass. I like drum and bass, liquid drum and bass, but again, it triggered me because Chloe used to listen to a lot of it, like Hybrid Minds and like Sub Focus and stuff. And it's mad because like, even though I don't play that now, even though I like drum and bass, and I love liquid drum and bass, it's not something that I play. And it's not because of Chloe and it's not because of the triggers. It's just because for me, house music is more soulful. Yeah. So I'm in this place now and I'm in this room full of about 30 people. And the woman's saying, think of an animal, act like it, look like it, walk like it, or move like it, sound like it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, and she says then close your eyes and like, just be mindful of the emotions that are coming through and the thoughts and all these things. So again, I'm like, this is mad. Like she's telling me to be conscious, which I already am, but because you're being guided through that journey with these sayings or these thoughts that she's telling you, you're then able to be more conscious of how you feel and think. So you don't judge. You don't judge yourself. You don't judge others. And I was able to go through this music journey with clarity, openness, confidence, that I could move my body and just feel free. But at points, I was like, oh God, I'm going to look
like people watching me.
Yeah. But so I closed my eyes and I found I felt like I was lost in my own world.
Mm-hmm.
And when she said about the animals, I was like, oh my God, what's everyone doing? So I'm opening my eyes like this, and there's this man like roaring like a lion, and like there's somebody else. And I'm like, wow, like, okay, I'm not the only weird one by here. Or better word, I'm not the only one that's free.
Yeah.
Because actually, when you do those things and you're not bothered about anyone else's thoughts or judgment on what you're doing, and when you haven't got judgment yourself, you are the freest person. Yeah. You're the freest you're going to be in that moment. Nobody else is stopping you from moving and free flowing. So drum and bass comes on and I'm like, oh my God. And then all my cry, all the emotion, all this pain comes through my body. And somehow I was able to cry without feeling silly.
Yeah.
So I cried it out. I become conscious of the thought. So I'm the observer of the thinker. And I'm like, okay, do your breathing now, Dan, but let it come in. Let it come into you and just let it out. But I felt safe because these people around me didn't care what I was doing. They didn't care if I was like being a rabbit or hopping around on the floor or whatever. They didn't care. They're not going to care about me crying. If anything, they're going to hold space for me to do that. And in that moment, I just thought, I've got to do this. There is so many people I know that need to find this freedom, but the freedom starts with self-love. And when you're able to do that through music guiding you, it's a surreal experience. And unless you've actually tried it, it's hard to explain what it does. But in that moment, in my mind, I just thought, I've got to do this. And this was the April 2023. So Chloe died July 2022. And then April 2023, I'm put in this situation. And in that moment, I was like, I've got to do this. So being me, I take a while to do things. But when I'm ready, I do it.
Yeah.
So from the April to the September, I'm looking at cacao. I'm looking at music in a different way. I'm able to explore music in the house. So I'm not going out. It's not really my thing. I don't drink. I'm still going outside and playing music and doing my thing. And then my friend said to me, why didn't you just sell cacao? You want to do it. You've designed your labels. Why don't you just do it?
Yeah.
So I'm sat there drinking cacao, creating all the colours, doing like all my write-ups on it, like the myths, the facts, the pros, the cons, the story of cacao, all of that stuff. So I've got it all there. I'm creating it all on Canva. And this is like the September. And I thought to myself, well, I want to do events and I've got to do it. I've got to do it where I live. Whether it's 10 people turning up or 30, I don't care. I've just got to bring this feeling to light. I've got to make it
for
happen.
Others
the vision,
to see.
I've got to bring it. And in the November, I decided to go and buy a set of decks. So I went to Argos. Well, you look through everything.
Yeah.
You look on Facebook Market, and you looked at the XDJ R1s, like all that range. Had a look at the XZs or whatever was there at the time. And I just thought, do I want to spend £1,000 on something? And in my mind, I just thought, I don't, it wasn't the money. But in the back of my mind, I was like, am I going to stick this out?
Yeah.
Because usually,
and that's exactly what I thought.
Am I going to stick this out? Because usually if I like something, I do it for like 6 months and then it's gone.
Yeah, same.
But the only thing my mum said to me, the only thing I've been consistent with is walking, cold water therapy and wellness. And music obviously being my life.
Yeah.
Obviously I've gone through this stage where I can't listen to it and it's uncomfortable, but I've got to welcome it in. And I've done it now through a sober way with sober people around me. But when I go on to the next bit, you'll be like, wow. So that integration there allowed me then actually to go back out and actually see people drinking and taking drugs. And now I'm not bothered by it.
Yeah.
It's unreal. How this has transformed me is like another thing, another level. So
is that the whole journey of yours, or obviously buying the controller and learning to mix?
So the November, I thought, right, I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna spend £200-300 on a set of decks. So I bought the Flex 4s. My mum gave me a set of speakers, Jammer ones that I could plug in. And I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, where do I start? And my partner, Jamie, he's been DJing for years and years and years. And when I first met him, 2022, he had the decks. And I just thought, how do you even play that? It didn't even come into my mind that I would ever play them. I always wondered like how you would play them. But I was in a subconscious space as far as that area of music was concerned. So it didn't even occur to me that I would ever be able to play like he did.
Yeah.
And I still can't. Like, he's been doing it so many years that he mixes the way that he does. Everyone has their own style.
Yeah.
And we play completely different. So, you know, his was stolen actually from the van. So we didn't have any decks. But like I say, I went and bought a cheap pair. He had vinyls.
Have you ever used them?
No, but we're going to set them up soon.
Yeah.
He needs something on his needle for it to be able to work. So yeah, I went and bought these Flex 4s, plugged them in, and I was like, oh my God, this is nuts. So obviously, as you know, DJing is not the decks. It starts with the computer, with the sounds, analysing the tracks if you've not heard them, putting them in a playlist, just building your...
It takes so long. It's not just a matter of plugging something in and playing.
You've got
like, where do people think all these tracks come from?
Yeah, like Beatport, like even knowing how to sign up with Beatport.
Yeah.
Like, do you have the streaming? Do you buy the tracks? Like, you have to learn all of those things. Then when Jamie says, oh, you've got to get your software, your record box for your actual library, I'm like, so I had to buy a computer.
Oh, don't. Me and record box.
So then,
a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, £200 computer. So second-hand computer, sets up the record box, and then day by day, and I mean day by day, I'm building, buying tracks anywhere I can, putting them in, and just building them up slowly. I looked at the tracks, analysed them, never put any hot cues in, but I just looked at the track. I understood that, you know, you have extended mixes whereby you have a little bit of time to like, bring a song in, and you've got a bit of time at the end where you can bring another one in as it drops some layers. So looking at music in that way was just the start. So never mind mixing, you know, you've got to understand the music.
Yeah.
You got to listen to it. You got to understand the layers. You got to understand like how music is made. So it's not just DJing, it's understanding the whole track and what it is. So yeah, that was nice. I put myself straight in the deep end, went down to Pirate Studios, couldn't even turn the thing on. You know, like I'm ringing, what's it called? Support on my WhatsApp. You know, I can't turn the thing on. Then when it goes on, it's in reverse. Like now I look back and I'm like, oh, it's only reverse, press the button. But at the time, you didn't even know what reverse is. Yeah. I'm looking at the track and it's going this way. And I'm like, how is it playing that way? You know, I have no idea how to use these CDJ 2000s. Yeah. I have no idea. I've only looked at a Flex 4. I'm put straight in the deep end, no idea. And at the time, I'm thinking, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to be able to do it. How am I ever going to understand it? But I just remember thinking, when you drove, as much as I had the adrenaline to drive, learning to drive a car, at the time, I thought, I'm never going to be able to drive.
Same.
How are you going to just put it into first, second, third without thinking about it?
Yeah, in my lessons, obviously through like residential areas, it's all 30. Yeah. And I remember on my driving lessons, I was actually saying this to my daughter a couple of weeks ago when we were driving through an estate, and I was like, God, Starla, I remember on my lessons, I used to drive through housing estates because there's obviously cars all parked on the side of the road. I used to go about 8 miles an hour. I used to say to my driving instructor, I'll never be able to drive faster than this through it. And now I'm like on 29.
I know. And it is. And it's like with anything.
Yeah, but you can do anything.
Yeah, you can. It just depends how much your heart wants to do it. And I always say to people, like, I'm not, you know, I'm nothing like, you know, Sam Divine, Cash Only, or, you know, these amazing DJs that we see. But I can honestly say that if you want to do something and you believe you can do it, because not many DJs are going to stick it out.
No, they don't.
And get through it, because as soon as you hit a bump, usually those DJs fall off. Yeah. And the only ones left are the ones that are actually still doing it through those bumps. You know?
Exactly, because they've all gone through them.
Yeah, so it's a hard journey, DJing, but if you want it enough, you'll do it. And especially, I believe it just takes time.
Oh, absolutely. Like anything. And don't you feel like, I'm so proud of myself for learning, because it's not an easy hobby to learn.
I did it on my own. You did as well.
Yeah, but to learn such a skill later on in life as well is such an achievement. And I remember because I still have the first controller that I bought, and it's a Tractor. A Tractor Pro 3. I think it wasn't the most expensive one, but it wasn't the cheapest. It was £500 brand new. And I thought I could either go and spend £1,000 for Pioneer ones secondhand. What if they break after a month or two? And I didn't have any more money than that to buy anything. And then I saw this Tractor. I did all my research, and I saw this Tractor one. And the brand new one in the middle. So it wasn't the lowest one, it wasn't the newest one. It was the one in the middle, brand new, it was £500. And then it come with the free software. Is it Native Instruments they use? Sure. It came with the free software that's usually £100 on its own. So I used that, and I use
because it's free.
I still
that probably would be better.
I still have that now because I just haven't had I don't have £1,000 spare at the minute. I'm manifesting it. But at the minute I don't have it spare to go and buy that. So the first, obviously I run events in Milton Keynes as well. And I didn't play at the first ever event because I'd literally only just bought the controller and I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
You want to know, you want to be comfortable going into
you want to put on a good show.
You've got a vision, regardless of what. So if you know the vision isn't going to be the vision that you intend it to be because of not knowing about a certain controller or not being able to play as you wanted to, you're not going to ruin it by putting yourself out there and not learn.
My controller, I still have to use a laptop. The laptop I use is a MacBook. I bought it for £350 secondhand on Marketplace, and I still use it to this day. I've had it for about 4 years now, that same MacBook, and it's really, it served me well for what I paid for it. And I remember the first event I played at, I played last, but I think it was at 3 a.m. And it's the first time I'd ever used, and I think for this event we hired, it wasn't even a controller, we hired actual CDJs, but I'm probably going to get it completely wrong now what they're called, but they're CDJ 3000s or something. They were massive, huge. I'd never seen anything like it. And I was like, I had to learn to put everything onto a USB. I had to learn to analyze it. Also did it all because it's not going to work on mine. No. So I did all of that, and I had these huge CDJs in front of me, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'd never ever used Pioneer equipment before in my life. You did it. I was used to using a tractor. My controller's probably
and tractors are different. This big. Anyway.
And I'm used to using it with a laptop. And I'd not had any lessons. I just taught myself. And then because I was on last, obviously this was my first time ever playing out to people. I had no experience. I didn't know how to read a room. And I had pre-planned my set. I didn't feel comfortable just picking tracks at a whim. I wasn't aware of like reading the room and everything first. So I had this like all tracks that I love, this real like proper deep tech house set. I thought this will be banging for the end of the night. Everyone's going to love it. And I played just after my friend who had played like a really old school rave set that everyone loved. Everyone was up with their phones. And then I come on and started my set. And before my first track had even finished, the club emptied. Like everybody left. And it was literally just one of my best friends and my mum and dad. They were there.
But you know what?
And honestly, the heartache, I felt like my heart dropped and I was like, this isn't for me. Like, I'm not cut out. I'm just not cut out to do this. And then obviously I learnt more about having to, now if I did that, if I played my first track and people started to leave, I'd be like, I need to switch up what I'm playing. I need to play something different. Let me try and find something similar to what the last DJ was playing because his was banging and everyone loved it. But that bar emptied. Everybody went home before my first track had even finished.
You can grow, can't you, from that? And you wanted it so bad that you were just going to learn from it.
And I was like, do you know what? Like, Mel, pull yourself together. I'm not going to let this stop me. But just sort of going back to what you said before about hitting bumps in the road, I could have easily just packed in then and just sold my controller and thought, I'm just going to do promoting and not actually DJing. And I didn't. I stuck it out because I'm so passionate about it.
If it's in your heart, you've got to do it. And I like when I do gratitude in the morning, a lot of my gratitude is down to music, and not just music, the artists as well. I always say, like, I'm so grateful for music. I'm so grateful for my senses, but I'm also grateful for the person that made the track to never have given up on the dream. Because had they thought less of themselves or not enough about themselves, they wouldn't have made the track for us to have heard. So you have to be that person as well. Like, you may be somebody or a DJ that people will absolutely love listening to because of the way that you bring the music, the music that you do bring, the love and the connection and the energy that you bring from just playing. But yet if you don't believe in that, you're never going to bring that to anyone. So you've got to be careful as to how you look at yourself. And if you want something enough, you've just got to believe that you can do it. And nobody's going to be perfect from day one or the offset. You have to go through the bumps to learn. Otherwise,
absolutely. Otherwise, you're never going to learn. Anyway. Like, where's the growth in that? There isn't any.
I mean, when I started learning how to DJ. This is the November. So I bought the Flex 4s.
So was this November 2023?
23. So November 23, I bought the Flex 4s. I had kind of been doing a lot on my computer, record box. and did it like a couple of times at the Pirate Studios just to get used to like the pioneers.
Yeah.
And then at the end of November, by this point now, I'm not even properly able to do it. I'm not feeling confident enough. However, I know in my mind that if I don't set a date for something, I don't do it.
Yeah.
So I looked around venues to find a place to do a static dance. And that was my vision. So I built up the confidence to find somewhere, went to the YMCA or the YMA in Pontypridd, really, really nice space, all black, brick wall, really old building, everybody knows what it is. I set a date for the 19th of January. I had a month and a half to learn to DJ enough, confident enough that I would bring something to that event. And that's what I did. And the 19th of January come and I take my Flex 4 there. I had a few hiccups with the microphone because obviously they had a massive like amplifier that I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
But again, you learn on the job. You learn as you're going through it. And I think I had like, what did I do? Something went wrong, but they didn't notice. I noticed because I'm so particular in how I do things. I know I did something wrong in that set, but nobody else would have known.
Yeah.
And I think the first time I had 24 people turn up. And that was amazing because I just thought, oh my God, there's people doing a static dance 2 years and they've got 34 people after 2 years of doing it. So I thought, okay, I've got 24, brilliant. But at the same time, I knew that could change depending on how often I did it. So again, I learned a lot over these next 6 months. I learned the most valuable things. The second event was in February, and I had 37 people turn up. March, I want to say 26, 27, something like that. Still in the 20s, so still really, really good. I did a cacao ceremony, sold my cacao there.
Was it the same people coming back?
Same and different. So some people dropped out because they couldn't do it every month, and then you had new people as well. And then I changed the event space because obviously they had said that they would help me with the rent. So they would charge me 50%. And I'm going to be honest with you because I'm all about being authentic and real. Some companies don't want to help you. Some places don't want to help you. And they said they were going to give it to me 50% for a couple of months just to build it up. And they didn't. They charged me full price straight away second month. And I thought, this ain't going to last. So by the time the third month came, I was looking for somewhere else. So the lady that did the sound bath after, she said, come up to Town Hall in Mountain Ash and do it up there. First time I went up there, I had 9 people turn up. That was it. So instantly I was like, oh my God, what have I done wrong? And it wasn't so much what I had done. It was that people couldn't travel. Yeah. There were people that were able to go to Pontypridd easily rather than Mountain Ash. So I knew the area was what had changed people's reason in going. And the people that were going originally didn't drive. So you're not going to get a train up to Mountain Ash at that time and try and get back on the train. I understood that those things were happening. We did have 1 or 2 nights where I think I had like 30 odd people in the Mountain Ash event space. And then it dropped to 12. And then I had about 20. So it was up and down all the time. And it does make you think like, am I doing the right thing here? So where I live, you've got a lot of people that are, they look at a static dance as something that's quite intimidating because people who go to a static dance are usually hippies or are usually people who have already discovered freedom of life. And so for the normal person coming in, and I'm going to say normal because the usual person.
What society perceives to be normal.
Yeah. The usual person coming into that feels like, oh God, I don't belong here. Yeah. And I recognize that as a problem, but as a problem that I could allow myself to kind of go in a different direction because I know I don't dress like that. I mean, sometimes I'll wear cotton, and I'll feel free and goddessy and whatever, but not always do I don't wear that every day. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be somebody by wearing that, but sometimes I feel that when you go over to that kind of way of life, people start to change your image and then we forget about who we are again. We start becoming somebody. And actually when you become conscious, you're supposed to be learning not to be anybody other than just you. So I know that was something that a lot of people looked at as like where they would feel put off by going to something like that. Yeah. So I thought, okay, let's change it. Let's bridge the gap. I know that there's a problem with younger people going out and not using narcotics and drink. Chloe died as a result of somebody been intoxicated and on like numerous type of drugs. If he hadn't have gone out that night and taken those 3 drugs and drunk, she'd still be here today. So I know that there's...
So was she, sorry to interrupt, was Chloe a passenger?
She was a passenger in the car. So she'd gone out on a night out and...
And how old was she?
17.
Then?
Yeah. And it's at that age, like, you know, like you don't want them going out, but you can't stop them. No. They're not, you know, I was going out at 16.
Yeah.
You know, what's right or wrong? You know, people can look at that and say, well, you shouldn't have let a 17-year-old out. But at the same time, like, you know, were you going out at 16, 17, lying to your mother? She didn't lie to me. Yeah. You know, she was going to go out anyway. She loved music. And like I said, you know, there's no point me beating myself up about it. There's thousands of people that let the children out.
Yeah.
At 17, you know, she was quite an older 17. And she loved music, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she made the wrong choice. And that was through the fact that she'd had a drink. But yeah, the boy had said, like, obviously there was a lift that they'd paid for, no drink driving, the lift was secure, safe, but he wanted to get his car so Chloe could get home in the morning, and they got in that car. He didn't drive particularly fast. The police have obviously investigated all of that. He drove normally but hit a curb going down a hill, and there was a railing in front on the left hand side on a cattle grid. That was what killed Chloe. So the cattle grid railing, the top part of it had come through the window and gone straight through her body. And that actually was what killed her. He survived. And at the time, I suppose you feel angry and you don't understand why somebody would make such decisions. But overlooking that and understanding that actually taking drugs and drink is going to impair your decision making anyway, led me to wanting to do this. So as I'm doing a static dance, I'm thinking I really, really need to be targeting younger people, so that, like, even from school, so that I can introduce music as a way to help you heal and feel euphoria, rather than going out on a Friday, Saturday night at 15, 16 on the streets, drinking, getting that feeling of drink. Because children go through adolescence at 14 to 18. You don't feel very nice about yourself. You don't feel confident. You're trying to be like, you know, you're the friend there, or, you know, somebody that you feel is pretty. So you're changing your ways. You don't say the things you want to say. You keep them in. Then when you're going through this change, you're encouraged to drink, or you're encouraged, oh, try that, you'll feel better. Because they're already in a place where they're not happy. They're already in a place of self-destruction, really, because they don't want to feel what they're feeling. They're feeling really inconfident. They want to be like, you know, their friends. They want to be confident like they are. So as soon as they try the alcohol or the drugs, they're going to feel the feeling. Now, whatever that feeling is that they feel, they then attach to. Yeah. So
they want more of it.
Well, they want to feel like they can say whatever they want to say, whether that be confident in saying this or that. They want to feel confident to drink, or confident to dance. Yeah. So by the time they get to 16, 17, 18 and they're going out raving, and don't tell me they don't, because there's children underage all the time, everywhere. You know that. Yeah. Fake IDs, whatever. They're going out. They're having a drink before they go. They're taking drugs. And they do that because they know by taking those things that they tried earlier on in life, they're going to come to a point whereby they're able to dance, they're able to let go, they have no inhibition. Like,
say what they think to people, whether it's like somebody they fancy or... Yeah.
So from that 14 to 16 period, or 14 to 18 period of their life, they already know that there's a substance out there that's going to allow them to be a certain way, because they can't feel that through themselves, because they haven't got self-love. Yeah. And at that point, 14 to 16 or 14 to 18, you're going through the change, like you're changing into an adult. You don't know who you are. Hormones are everywhere. That is the worst time that a child can actually try something like that, because then you depend on it. Then you go through life, family of drinking. You've got baby showers, birthdays, parties, Christmas. Everything you ever go to is surrounded with drink. People now are taking cocaine. I've heard. I've never tried it. I've never ever gone through those experiences whereby I'm able to talk about it. However, and that's why I'm not going to say too much on it, because I'm not in a position whereby I can talk about it. I don't know the effects. However, I've made sure by speaking to people I do know that have had addictions to that, is that now children are taking cocaine to sober up. Yeah. So they're not falling over and they're not being sick, or they're not feeling like they can't, like they're slurring their speech. People don't want to feel like that. So now all of a sudden there's this thing of, I'm gonna have a line, or I'm gonna have whatever they call it, like a bump or whatever. And that then becomes normal. But then there are people at 40, 50, and that's normal life.
Then they need something else to fall asleep.
Yeah.
So they're taking the alcohol to get drunk, then doing a line of coke to not feel that horrible, icky drunk anymore. But then you can't sleep. So then they're having to take diazepam.
This all comes from 14 years of age. From 14, turning into an adult, going through that transition of becoming a child into an adult. That's where I would like to help.
Yeah.
The community that I live in, at least. Because it's at that point that we need to be pushing music as a good thing.
Yeah.
Not a place where people go and drink and take drugs and have a good time. I'm not saying people don't have a good time when they're off their face or they're drunk.
They don't remember it though, so what's the point?
But I know 100% that I feel euphoria when I go sober.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how happy and proud I am of myself for being able to do that.
Yeah.
And that feeling is the most powerful feeling in the world. It's the most freeing feeling, not to need anything.
Yeah.
Just to enjoy myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want that to be felt through as many young people as we can, or I can get hold of. And that's why I wanted to do DJing, so that I could bring whatever event I wanted to any space in any place.
Yeah.
Where I'm not having to rely on a DJ to come and do that for me. So that's why DJing for me is the most important thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be able to play as well as I can. I believe that, like, I've been DJing a year and 3 months, and I believe that we'll always grow. Even 20 years down the line, if I'm still DJing, I'm sure like 20 plus or 21 years will be better than I was 20 years.
Yeah. I was just talking to a guy before, and he has been DJing for 40 years. Yeah. He was like mid-50s. He started DJing when he was 14. Yeah. So he's been DJing 40 years. And I was saying to him, do you know what? Sometimes I really kick myself for not starting this journey sooner.
You're meant to, though.
But he was like, do you know what? He said, you've been DJing a year. I've been DJing 40 years. Yeah. You will still know things that I don't know.
Yeah.
You'll still know things I don't know. Yeah. You'll still do things that I'm not aware of doing.
But you're meant to be doing it now.
Exactly that. You know? Like I've lived life as an alcoholic, and I've lived life the way I live life now. So I've been alcohol free for 6 years in June, 6 years on June the 20th, like any true alcoholic knows the date. And like we were just saying about the gratitude you have for being able to live sober, like for somebody looking in, if they were to look at my social media or to meet me, my life may not seem like a lot, but my life now is a million worlds away from anything I ever thought it could be. Like 7 years ago, I had my children taken off me. Yeah. I was a non-functioning alcoholic. So the last 6 months before I was hospitalised, I was drinking. Yeah. The second I woke up in the morning, bearing in mind, I wasn't allowed to see my kids for 2 years unless it was supervised. So not in a contact centre, I refused to go because I was still very much in the chaos, but it had to be supervised by my parents. That's who my children were living with then. So for the longest time I wasn't allowed to see them unsupervised, and so I'd had them removed.
Isn't it unbelievable though, at the time you were doing that, it was the only answer?
Yeah, absolutely. I was doing it because,
and I don't like it when people look in and judge that, because obviously nobody can actually feel what you feel.
Yeah. Like you
did it because that's the only that was the only answer you had at the time.
Yeah. So the last 6 months before, so I was hospitalised and given a 2-week detox, and during that time I was diagnosed with liver cirrhosis. So I was told I needed a transplant. I was told I was literally on death's door, that I was going to die. And the 6 months leading up to that, because I wasn't seeing my children, the year before that I went to prison as well. I went to prison for setting fire to my own hair salon. No recollection of doing it to this day. As well. I am. Another thing we have in common. Yeah. But to this day, I have no recollection of doing it. But because when they pulled me out through the ceiling. The building was alight. Because they could smell I was intoxicated. Yeah. I was arrested at the scene. I went to prison for arson. So that had happened the year prior to that. Then the 6 months leading up to me being in hospital, I'd wake up in the morning. A typical day for me would be I'd wake up in the morning, I'd be literally fishing around for like empty empty bottles of wine to see if there was something in it that could help me get out of bed. I'd be quite clever in the night before I went to bed. I'd usually leave enough for like a glass of wine because I knew I'd need it the second I woke up in the morning. I'd usually wake up, I'd have wet myself in the night, wouldn't change my bed in, wouldn't clean myself. I'd sometimes wake up covered in sick, like I'd have been throwing up in the night in my sleep from the amount of alcohol that was in me. Wouldn't wash it. I'd literally have vomit in my hair for weeks on end. So I'd wake up, have like just neck the glass of alcohol that I'd left ready for the morning. I'd immediately throw that up. Then I'd have another one and then I'd be able to get out of bed. So I was literally being hospitalised. So I lived like that. I mean, that was the worst it ever was. I was alcohol dependent before then, but I was still sort of functioning. I was still being able to leave the house. This then grew into like agoraphobia. I wasn't able to go out. I thought people were looking at me. I thought people were going to kill me.
It's the reaction that the feelings you feel from what you're doing.
I used to literally wait till it was dark. Then I'd put a hoodie on, my pajama bottoms. Sometimes it'd be changing like 5p and 2ps, and I'd just go and get like the most amount of alcohol I could get to see me through the night. And I lived like that for like 6 months. Then I was hospitalised and diagnosed with liver cirrhosis, told I needed a transplant, told I was never be able to have any more children. And that, even though before I kind of always felt like I was in control of what I was doing, like I was in control of when I was drinking. And I'll be honest with you,
gave yourself excuses as well.
That time, that sort of last 6 months, I was drinking because I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to be here. I didn't
run away from.
Yeah, and I was thinking, and like sometimes in the morning, I remember I'd just wake up and cry, like I've been sick in my sleep. Like, why have I not choked? Why didn't I just die? Like, I don't want to live anymore. And then I was hospitalised, and when I was told by somebody else, actually, you are dying, I was thinking, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to tell me. You're not going to tell me when I'm going to go. Like, I'm in control, but I wasn't in control of anything anymore. Yeah. And that was kind of the turning point for me, and the compassion I was given in hospital. I'd had hospital stays before then and detoxes before then, and I was just treated like an addict. But this time they were so nice to me. Like, the nurses would sit on my bed and we'd watch funny things on my phone, and like we'd watch Friday Night Dinner and we'd watch Impractical Jokers, and they would just sit and laugh at me, and I thought, I'm actually being treated like a human being here. And that was the turning point. And I haven't drank since that day. Exactly. Back to self-love.
And love is the answer to everything.
Yeah.
You know, and you get that in so many things.
And I've gone on to, obviously I didn't have the liver transplant. I didn't need it. But yeah, I got custody back of my daughter. I went on to have another baby. Yeah. She's nearly 5. Yeah. And I look at my life now, and I don't live in a massive house. I don't drive a fancy car. But do you know what I mean? From somebody looking in, it doesn't look like a lot, but without people knowing actually where I've come from.
That's when you can appreciate
how
much growth
it's everything. It's absolutely everything. And then learning a new skill, like obviously learning to DJ last year as well.
But had you not gone through all of that, you may not have ever looked at music that way.
No, I wouldn't have.
You know, we're all exactly where we're meant to be, whether there's tragedies or not. We're all meant to be where we are. You should be really proud.
So should you.
You know, I think it's strange how life is.
It is, and the curveballs it throws you.
Yeah, but wellness and being in management of your own wellness is what will keep pushing you forward. Because, like I say, you know, you probably got into where you did, or into the place that you were in, because you didn't have the skills or the knowing of what you know now. Yeah. And a lot of it comes from you wanting to know. You need to find out yourself. We don't get taught anything about wellness in school. No. Or college. We're just made to go into this like 9-to-5 matrix. Yeah. And that's it, really. You know.
That's not how we live.
It's not. It's not. And there's so much more to life than that.
There is. There absolutely is.
But yeah, I think it is interesting.
Music's been a massive part of my healing journey. There's some touching on sort of similar to what you were saying earlier. Even now, for me, there are certain songs that take me back to a place where
they remind you of feelings and everything.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel like this again. Like, can't listen to it. But then some of my
but push it
the
into
most
your heart.
treasured memories and the best memories and the best euphoric feels I ever have also come from songs.
Yeah, they do.
And music as well.
Yeah. I think with music, like the music, your mind, your brain, it's with anything. Like it could be a trigger in something that was a sad part of your life. If you see something, you're triggered. Like say you go down the motorway and like and this is something that happens to me every day. I go down the motorway every single day and I look to the left and that's the funeral home. And that's where I dressed Chloe, put in a coffin and did all of that. And every time I go past, it's like, oh, so that triggers me every time. And every time I go past it, it triggers a memory of thought.
Yeah.
So your body always holds on to the emotion, which I didn't know anything about. So when you go through wellness and you're being triggered by things, it could be something like that, or it could be a song.
Yeah.
A song will trigger you from a past thought, because anything that's happened in your life, whether it's happy or sad, will trigger a memory of thought. So the memory, so the emotion that you're feeling, whether it's happy or sad, is almost saved like a computer.
Yeah.
But the memory is saved so the emotion that's felt is actually saved. So when a song comes up and it takes you back to a place, the reason you feel sad is because that's a memory that's been saved.
Yeah.
So the emotion and the memory is saved. So all you have to do with that is, because it's a low vibrational frequency or level of frequency in your body, the only thing you can do is push it into your heart and it neutralizes it.
Yeah.
So I've learned that
I'm going to try that. Next time something comes on, I'm going to think, do you know what?
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
stick
don't
this
put it
out
on
and listen
purpose.
to it.
But if these songs do come on, or these places you go will trigger you,
it will come on at the right time.
Your trigger will come because it's a memorized emotion. That's what happens in the body. And I've watched Joe Dispenza, and he explains this to you. So anything that you're triggered is only a saved emotion in your body, and the only way that you can dissolve it is to become conscious of the thought and push it into your heart and think, do you know what? Yeah, that was a bad time in my life. And yes, I am feeling like pain and emotion. However, I can push that into my heart and think, right, where am I now?
Yeah.
What have I learned from it? What wisdoms can I take from that? So I think there's a difference. Don't look for pain. Don't look for those things. But people do. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
People have like playlists. I know from friends, playlists, sad songs. What the hell are you doing? You have a playlist that says sad songs.
To be fair, I
did years ago.
I don't think I have one that says sad songs, but I do have playlists tailored to certain feelings and emotions.
So your pain, the body.
So you're asking to be hurt.
You are, and the problem is that people don't understand this either. Pain feeds pain.
Yeah,
and we don't know that until somebody tells you and plants that seed for you to then learn about pain. You have no idea about it, which is why we sit in a life of depression or anxiety, because you're not even aware of what pain does. So as soon as you're hurting, the first thing you do is go listen to a sad song.
Yeah.
Then you start looking for more memories. And that's what the brain does.
Yeah.
Pain feeds pain. The only way you can come from that pain is by coming out of the mind, like I said, and becoming conscious of the now. So when you become the observer of the thinker, that's when you can dissolve the feeling, because you're aware of thinking that.
Yeah.
That's then when you push it into your heart and think, right, okay, what am I doing? Why am I sat here listening to this song? Why am I crying my eyes out? It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. But at what point do you come out of that? And so by you learning that you have to be conscious of the now all the time is when you can dissolve these things.
Yeah.
So actually don't feed your pain. Be conscious of that.
Yeah.
But they're all the things that I've learned through the loss of Chloe. I've learned about that. I've never been on antidepressants. I've never gone to the doctors and asked them for anything, because I don't believe that that's the answer. I believe whatever hurts you is telling you something. So you have to sit in that pain and shine the light on the darkness that you feel, and just allow it to answer whatever it's telling you.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, when you become more
resilient. I
wouldn't even say resilient. You just grow from it, and because you can be resilient. But that means sometimes that you just shut things off.
Yeah.
And you just harden to it. Whereas just be vulnerable. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. Don't be so strong. People say, oh, why are you so strong? You know, you've lost Chloe. How are you so strong? Well, I'm not strong. You know, I've got discipline. You know, and the discipline allows me to learn what I've learned. And it allows me to live a better life because of the things I've learned. You know?
So where do you see yourself moving forward then with your music career, with your DJing?
at the moment, again, going back years ago, I was in brand activation. So I had a salon and I worked in brand activation. So we activated a lot of products with a really big, well-known company. And they send me emails now, do you want to go work for Coca-Cola and do Fanta and do this alcohol? And I'm like, no. I'm like, why? I'm like, because it's not authentic to me. I don't want to go out there and sell alcohol. I don't want to be like encouraging this to people. It doesn't sit right with me. I'm finding it difficult to find a niche in my reality as far as work is concerned, because all I want is for my purpose to excel, which is maybe by, I don't know, like sharing with others my experience of how I'm dealing with my loss of Chloe and music. So as much as I would love to DJ anywhere I could, for anybody that could take me and say, right, we're going to give you a chance, who can tell me, right, okay, do this better. Or, I take any criticism as positive.
Yeah.
If I could go anywhere and DJ, I would. However, I couldn't do it. Like say an alcohol company said, oh, we're doing this. I don't know, say I'd been given, how can I explain it? Say I'd been given an opportunity to play in probably one of the biggest places.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say this is going to happen now because I'm not at that place to do that now. But if that was to ever come in my life and then a company said, you need to wear the T-shirt to brand, say, I don't know, an alcohol, I'd say no.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's not authentic to me. I don't want to do well in my life going against my morals and what I believe.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to do DJing where I need to, as long as it's authentic.
Yeah.
And as long as it is of value to my morals in life.
Yeah, definitely.
And I will say no to anything that doesn't feel right. And so my vision is that I'm able locally to encourage young people to dance and find a way to express by movement through my DJing, bring in music that is relatable to them, by talking through a microphone and playing at the same time.
Yeah.
So doing that locally. And the bigger picture I would hope is that I'm playing at sober events whereby other DJs who are sober are involved, where we're bringing something different. I know that isn't going to happen on a massive scale yet, but it's something that is going to happen. Yeah. It'll take time to do that. But I just hope that, I believe it will happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that my vision is that I can DJ wherever I can, as long as I'm being authentic to my morals.
Do you you have like a SoundCloud?
Yeah.
And that, don't you? So where can we find you on social media?
So I'm on TikTok. All my platforms are Finding You Happy with an X, even my cacao. My SoundCloud is Danielle X.
What I'll do, I will.
There's some new ones on there actually.
I'll link. Yeah. I'll link all of your your Instagram. So you've got your personal Instagram. You've got your the one for your cacao. Yeah. And I actually learned how to take cacao properly off that. I was using boiling water before and I now know you shouldn't be.
Yeah. Because it'll just kill compounds.
Yeah. So now I make it the correct way now, thanks to you.
And if there's anything you need to know and I haven't put it on there, let me know.
I will do.
I'll put some more information.
And then I'll link your, is it SoundCloud and Mixcloud you've got, or just SoundCloud?
I've got Mixcloud as well, but I try and put a lot of it on SoundCloud because I know a lot of people don't use Mixcloud unless they're DJs themselves. Yeah. So.
And I'll and I'll link them below in the show notes as well.
There's 2 new ones up now. There's not one on there since last July, because I think from July last year to this year, I kind of go into this like hibernation. Yeah. Whereby I just listen. I go to raves. I did go to a lot of raves last year, sober and on my own. And I was able to learn so much about music. Yeah. Because when I'm there on my own, not worrying about people going to the bar, like I've got friends that do drink. I can't go anywhere with them when they're drinking. And that, I love them to bits, but I can't do it. I like to be on my own, worried about my own self. Yeah. In the feels that I feel. I want to go home when I want. I want to be able to get in my car and drive home when I'm ready, not because they're tired. And I am quite selfish in that way.
It's not selfish at all.
But that's because music's my healing. Yeah. And when I go out and I listen to music, I'm literally in my own world. I'm in in a euphoric world. I can't even tell you. And I feel like I could cry thinking about it. Music moves me so much. I never thought I would get to this point. And I can listen to anything from house to melodic to minimal, you know, to even dance and pop.
Yeah.
You know, I've just done a set now because I went away from commercial a little bit and went a bit more underground. But yeah, it's beautiful when you find something that really resonates and really does move you.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, but I did. I went a lot into myself. I went to Amsterdam in September with Patrick Meeks and Sebastian and my two friends from where I live, Steve and Rhiannon. And we went to ADE, and that was an amazing experience. You know, we were able to see lots of different things there. We went to Divine Sounds and, you know, watched Cash and Sam and Chrissy, I think. A couple of people there that were an amazing night. And you learn so much from them.
Yeah, of course.
And I just felt like I was ready to come away from just doing sets because I was still practicing, you know, from January, November, December to July. All the sets I put on SoundCloud have so many mistakes in them, but I'm not going to delete them off because that's where I started. Like you can watch them and listen to them and you can see how much I've progressed since then. So these two sets I put up now are like the most recent. So that's where I am now.
Yeah.
So if you go back to like last year to now.
Yeah, you can see your progress.
Yeah, you can see the progress, and I'm not afraid to put that up there, you know.
No,
and I'm not afraid to, like, I sent a message to Cash this morning and I just said, you know, please can you listen to them? Can you tell Sam to listen to them and see what you think, you know? And I'm not afraid to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I love
What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, but don't ever put yourself down and don't ever think you're not good enough because everybody started where you started.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just think it's all about
they just stuck it out.
The love and if you want something that bad, you've just gotta get out there and just think, do you know what? Like, somebody will give you the chance.
Yeah, definitely. I'll link your SoundCloud and everything in the show notes as well, and your Instagram pages as well, so everybody can go and check them out. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I just want to say one thing
before we go: don't ever give up.
Amen.
Yeah.
Today
can sometimes feel like the end of the world, but you're not going to feel like that. If you change the way that you think in that moment, then your reality isn't what it is now. Like, you can change your reality of now. So don't ever give up. Like, it's not always going to be like that. If you can learn to manage your mind and go with your heart. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
World's your oyster, you know. And if nothing else works, then go to music.
Exactly. Music is the answer, so they say. It's true.
Is the answer.
Oh, thank you so much. And goodbye, everybody.